You want to know how to make it through your first year abroad? Don't be delusional. If you're on Apple or Spotify, do us a favor and follow. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. One of my favorite lines of poetry of all time is from John Donne when he says, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." You want to know how to make it through your first year abroad? It's to don't be delusional. I love to tell my students and give them rules, essentially what I call don't be idiot rules, where it's things that you would think you don't necessarily need to say to a person, but you find yourself having to say it. For instance, no planking on the desks, right? Or don't stand on the chairs. Or don't punch the boys. Or don't punch the girls. These are don't be idiot rules. And there's no end to the list of not being an idiot. The thing is when we go abroad, we tend to be a bit overconfident. And it kind of takes a person who's confident to go abroad. It takes a person who is willing to disregard some of the questions, who is willing to take risks where there's ambiguity in terms of safety or comfort, or even diet for that matter. You got to take risks, right? Well, the thing is that we don't go at these things alone in the way we think we often might. In fact, we are by no means the first people to go abroad and to do these things that is in our ambition to do. So if you want to go abroad and you want to have a good time, you do what's worked. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. In essence, everybody stands on the shoulders of giants. So what are these giants before you've done? Well, there is no legends book of expats or foreigners who have gone abroad. But there are anecdotal stories that you can use to help you out. I'm going to give you four things that will help you. Things to avoid, and things to have or acquire or do. Because what you want, your end goal, is a balance between confidence and comfort and discomfort. You want the right kind of discomfort. And for some people, it's discomfort. For other people, it's like it's a dopamine rush. And if you're the person for whom these instances of ambiguity are a dopamine rush, then you're nearly there. You're nearly ready. But there's a few things you still need, probably. First of all, you want to practice the language. And you're not going to do it just for the language. When you get where you're going, or even beforehand, do yourself a favor and get Pimsleur or listen to some television shows. Try to pick up something. But when you get there, sign up for language classes. Once, maybe twice a week. Or get a language exchange partner. The reason, as I say, is not just because of the language, and it's also not just because of the culture. It's because you need something that you know you're going to be obligated to do every week, because people are healthier when they have healthy and meaningful obligations. You're only enriching your life by learning some of another language. Better for your brain, better for your body. That is a good use of your time. I sound like a teacher when I'm saying that. This is a good use of your time. But you don't want to waste your time. You don't know how long you're going to be abroad. So put some things in your pocket to take back home with you, or put some things in your pocket that you can integrate into your life. So learn the language. And yes, aside from that, you learn the language, you're going to become more confident. You become more confident because you'll hear more, you'll understand more, and you'll enjoy more. Or, as has happened many times with me, You will hear people talking about you, and you have to withhold the tendency to chuckle and laugh, or if it's not your best day, to correct them and get into a fight. So learn the language. I hope you make friends. People are generally nice, and it's good to remember that. Statistics came out recently where Americans self-rated Americans as being untrustworthy and not viewing other Americans as kind or good. Whereas in Canada, the percentage of Canadians who view other Canadians as good despite political dispositions was quite high. The reality is people are generally good. People are generally good. People are generally nice. I've got friends on every side of the aisle. And when you're abroad, there's just something about being abroad that unites people who, in whatever your home country is, would otherwise be ideologically opposed to each other. It's this case with me and most of my foreigners, my co-workers actually. And this is a good thing. Helps us to see past our own biases. And language is just one more tool or one more key into this. The second thing that you must do is you must accept the fact that you're going to have off days and have a contingency plan for it. Off days, we call them here sometimes China days, which is somewhat derogatory, or bad China days, which is a little bit more on the nose. And what it means is that the cultural differences are so evident and are experienced so acutely that you need to retreat back into a familiar and, for lack of a better term, safe place. Most of the time, that is a glass of wine, Netflix, and a nice throw blanket on a couch. That's pretty much what it is, right? For some people, it's something different. Some people need to go out to a local bar that is frequented mostly by foreigners. You need to have a contingency, and you need to give yourself permission to have off days. No one is going to be on point all the time, because the kinds of struggles you have here are different from the kinds of struggles, in some sense, that you have back home. But remember that you're not on an island. You're experiencing things that everybody has experienced before. The third thing is one of the most important: exercise. And there are a lot of different reasons, but living abroad, and depending on where you go, of course, it's easy or not as easy or not as simple. Exercise puts you in touch with good people. People who exercise sometimes can be a little nuts, but they're people who want to be healthy. And if you put yourself around people who want to be physically healthy, there is a high incidence or intersection between people who are physically and mentally healthy. Regardless, back to your language classes, it helps to structure everything for you. It gives you meaning, makes you feel good about yourself, and what you do with your body is going to improve your mind. The last thing is the most important, and it's find a good community. There will be opportunities for many communities. When I first got here, I can't remember the website anymore, but I tried to find hiking clubs, tried to find book clubs, and there were a few here and there. But I ended up falling in with a crowd that is less savory than I initially knew, because I loved to play poker. I studied it, took lessons from professionals, and was improving and was profitable. One time I went to my friend's house for a home game, and I remember playing two hands in particular. One was against a Frenchman who was fairly well known in the poker community here. And the hand came out, and we both ended up all in with all of our money, and I was the favorite to win. He was running on just a few outs, and he hit his card, and he won the money that was in the pot. All right, it's equivalent of maybe like $200 or $300, so not that much. I remember that very clearly. And I bring that up for a good reason. Because a friend of his played against me in a subsequent poker hand another day. And I ended up doing the same thing. Pushing all in on a hand where I was best to win. And he was worse. He ended up sucking out and pulling the card out on the river for 2 pair over my aces. And I remember thinking like it was strange. And I had played tens of thousands of hands, so I knew the odds. I knew it can happen. But then I also thought there's just something about the way this played out. Find out later these 2 guys had been working to stack the deck. They would order pizza, buy pizza for everybody, and when they went to get the pizza, they'd grab a deck from somewhere else in their apartment, bring it back under the pizza box, trade the decks out, and take advantage of people. There was a fellow who had recently sold his house in the amount of about $400,000. And these 2 guys cheated him out of 500,000 RMB, so 80,000 bucks, depending on the exchange rate. Initially, what I thought was a good community ended up being full of duplicitous people who had no interest in me, which was a great lesson to learn. And it only cost me a few $100s to learn it. Find a good community. Find a church. Find friends you have something in common with. Go form a book club. Join walking tours. Learn things about the place where you are. And do it with other people, and do it with people who have been there for a while. And seek them out and talk to them. If they are insane, stay away from them. If perhaps you might first learn like what drove them nuts. If they're not insane, spend some time with them. And it's worth noting that there is a high incidence of mental and psychological instability amongst foreigners and expats who go abroad. Don't be one of them. Have a structured life. Because when you go abroad, every emotion is amplified. Everything. The good is better, and the difficulties are more difficult. You feel a little depressed sometimes, you will feel more depressed more frequently. The good, I mean, you probably haven't felt the sort of natural reinforcement of dopamine mechanics, and I mean natural, not like the Instagram scrolling crap. You probably haven't felt that since you were 5 or 6 years old when you were discovering the world. You get to have all of that again. And that's amazing. But the downs are lower, just as the highs are higher. Let me leave you with this. I hinted at mental and psychological instability amongst expats. I've told you the story of a friend of mine who recently divorced and wanted to come abroad, and I suggested that she rethink. And I told you, as she told me, she was grateful. When you go abroad, have good, solid things to move towards, not just bad, negative experiences to move away from. Because you're going to bring all of that over in baggage. Can you do that? Can you construct those tangible experiences? Not just this vague, wishy-washy, I want to experience something new and something fun. Okay, yeah, whatever. That's going to wear off. It's going to wear off fast. But if you want to survive, you got to do the things that make life worthwhile. What are those things?